Hello everybody and welcome to the next episode of High Caliber. I am your host, Martin Riggs. Today I have a special video for you today featuring the Tier 6 Premium German cruiser, the Graf Spee. The Graf Spee is unique for a couple of reasons. In particular, it has a heel at Tier 6, which is fairly unusual for a cruiser. It also has a very unique torpedo armament arrangement where the torpedoes are actually at the very back of the ship there, which allows for some very flexible torpedo angles. Now, in general, the German cruiser line has pretty flexible torpedo angles as it is, but the Graf Spee takes that to kind of a new level. In addition to that, it is well armed in terms of its main battery. It has a pair of turrets, 3 guns each, 283 millimeters, I believe is the size. And looks like we're going to take an early shot at this Furutaka. And we land a Citadel already. So off to a good start here. You can see these guns are really able to punish broadside cruisers. They're fairly accurate. See, the dispersion is pretty good. It's much more like cruiser dispersion, not your traditional battleship. And it also has a pretty long range too at Tier 6. The main battery will reach out to 16 kilometers, and you're actually able to engage targets at that range because the gun velocity is also pretty good. You also have access to the traditional German hydro, which will detect ships at about 5.5 kilometers for you, and I believe torpedoes at 3.75, I believe it is. So it gives you some good flexibility there. I also have the fighter equipped, which is helpful. The AA is mediocre, nothing too spectacular in terms of the AA, but the fighter does help mitigate that a little bit. So we have captured A here. Looks like we're also capping C and B for that matter. So our team's doing a good job pressuring the caps. Against battleships, the HE is pretty good. You'll generally be able to start some fires. Decent fire chance since the gun caliber is quite large. See if we can get a little chip damage on this DD. Notice that DD was doing a really nice job maneuvering. If you're spotted as a destroyer and you're trying to disengage, you should definitely be wiggling back and forth, especially since destroyers move at higher speeds than most ships. It makes it more difficult for you to hit because you actually kind of drift in the water a little bit because of your speed. So don't just sail away in a straight line. Try and move a little bit left, a little bit right. Make it just that much more difficult on your enemy to shoot you. Still got some AP loaded here. Trying to see if we can get some good damage on one of these battleships. They're sitting broadside to us. The AP is actually pretty good. That dispersion is less than ideal. But you can do some decent damage here. Looks like unfortunately the turret ate that pen for 0 damage. But since we've got this battleship moving slowly, just going to try and continue to put some pressure on there. That dispersion looks pretty nice. Good tight grouping. Unfortunately, we get 2 non-pens there. But you see, on average, you're doing around about 2,000 damage per shell on the AP when you're getting those penetrations, so pretty good. These are essentially Scharnhorst guns, but you only get 2 of them. And you are a fairly lightly armored cruiser. You can tank a little bit if you angle well. Definitely don't want to show a lot of side, though. I'm trying to get a good hit on this Königsberg here. Just missed that one there, unfortunately. But our team looks like we're doing pretty good at A here. So I'm really just kind of trying to hold this flank. I don't want to push in too aggressively. Don't want to YOLO, get myself knocked out of the battle. There's a citadel. Somebody else going to get him, or are we going to get him? It's like the Arizona. Darth Blackstone in the Arizona is going to get him. Now there are some ships I see over on the 9-10 line there, and they're pushing towards C. So it looks like we're probably going to lose that cap at some point. So now that we've got A basically clear here, everything else is over at B now, we're going to start to move in a little bit. Close this distance and start to try and support our B group. So when you're playing a particular flank, you want to try and secure the cap. And once you secure the cap, you don't really need to push forward through the cap. You just need to kind of hold on to it. And now that we've basically eliminated our opposition over here, now we want to move over towards B. And it's important to recognize these things by constantly looking at the mini-map when you're playing World of Warships. There's a lot of very helpful information there. Now you will notice we're starting to lose a lot of ships, so we're actually down ships, even though we're up points and we're up on caps. Because we're down ships now, we are in a bit of a dangerous situation. So we're going to have to be extra careful. We're going to have to play a little bit defensive here. Finally got our first fire here, 7 minutes into the battle. Did fire a lot of AP though. Just trying to help wear down this New Mexico here. They're taking some pretty sustained focus fire, so if I can get some fires on them again, it should really help wear them down. And since we don't have any other targets to shoot at right now as well, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Now we have the Jaguar popping up there. So if you spot a DD, you should usually try and shoot at them. The Montecacoli's already on it, that SAP. Now I decided to continue shooting the battleship, or I probably should have turned my guns to deal with the Jaguar. Got a little distracted trying to get this New Mexico taken care of. But I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. I do pop Hydro, because the Jaguar has 8-kilometer torpedoes, I believe. Get a couple pens there, that's nice. Another hit, knock out the engine, that's good. Just want to make sure we don't run into any torpedoes here. Definitely want to be careful of that. But I really want to kill this DD. Looks like that Monty gets a few more hits in, so that's good. Hoping we can finish him off with this salvo. Down to 31 hit points. I feel like this happens all the time in World of Warships. And of course, they go unspotted. Also starting to get focused by the CV pretty hard as well. I noticed another low hit DD over there. Trying to see if they're moving forward. Maybe I could attack them. And I fire a shot here and I realize, oh, the Jaguar is over there. Probably need to turn around here. Starting to sail into some serious trouble. This is kind of the mistake I was talking about earlier, where you just don't want to push too far forward. We've got the cap advantage. Don't want to take too much unnecessary damage here. Hopefully we can get this guy with the rear turret, though. And we get him. So there's one problem solved. And we're still down one ship. A couple of battleships pushing in here. Getting harassed by that CV. Try to stick with the HE here. I'm trying to get some fires on the Fuso. especially at mid to long range. If you're in a cruiser, you want to be using HE. Gives you the best chance to do consistent damage. You can get those fires started. It's a lot more difficult to get solid AP pen damage at longer ranges. If you're close up, you can use that AP. But at longer ranges, you definitely want to use HE for the most part. You do manage to get a fire there. Also notice I'm trying to stay angled from the Fuso. You can see the direction of my ship down there in the lower left corner. Trying to keep our bow kind of pointed away from them. Gives us the best angle. That way they also have to hit the thicker armor. Continuing to lose ships here, unfortunately, but we still do have 2 caps. So I'm spinning back around here so I can try and start re-engaging targets. I've kind of gone a little bit too far. The Fuso is dead, however, so that's a very good turn of events for us. CB's no longer focusing on me. They're shooting at the Arizona right now, so that's good. But we still have an advantage because we have a really nice points lead here. Still 8.5 minutes left, though.
Fighter returning to ship.
Kind of trying to keep an eye on that Trento. I think the Trento is going to pop around the island. So I've got AP loaded in anticipation of that. I think they're going to pop out around A here at some point. So I'm kind of waiting for them. I'm not sure. They might just stop back there behind the island. And they do actually pop up in front of us here. So we're kind of ready for that. And that's one advantage of looking at the mini-map here, is you really want to try and figure out which direction is the enemy headed, where they want to try and go, and then anticipate where they're going to be headed. I pop Hydro because the Trento does have torpedoes. Unfortunately, I still have AP loaded here. The reload is quite long on the Graf Spee, but they are showing us a little bit more broadside. And they're going to actually show us a bit more even. Might be able to get a Citadel here. Or we'll just duff into the water. Who doesn't love RNG sometimes? So we are pushing them back out of the caps. This is good. Helping to hold on to this cap. And we got both guns on them now. I've switched to HE just to get some guaranteed damage. And we get a double HE Citadel. I don't think I've ever had one of those. Double HE Citadel. Very strange. But we still have some problems here. We got the New Mexico up here. This is the same New Mexico, I believe, that we were shooting at earlier. I'm going to stick with the HE, try and get them lit on fire. Do get some pen damage there, but no fire, sadly. Also that Bliska down there that just killed the carrier, which is a problem. But right now what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to assist with the New Mexico so that I can help my teammate. There's the fire we were looking for. Still holding on to a commanding points lead. Again, we're trying to shoot the HE into the superstructure. Anytime you're shooting a battleship, that's where you want to shoot with your cruiser HE guns. Anytime you're firing HE. I think New Mexico actually has a destroyed turret there. So that gives us a bit of an advantage. So he might burn down here. Oh, he actually put the fire out just in time. But our main battery is going to take care of it. So now we've got the Bidyani and a Bliska to deal with here. As well as their Ranger. Their Ranger is still alive, unfortunately. I'm going to load up some AP. The Bidyani is not very well armored. So if we can catch it broadside, or even moderately broadside, We should be able to get some citadels. But we do need to make sure we stop their points cap. Unfortunately, here's the Bliska. So I'm going to try and swing this rear turret around if I can. I was thinking about it. But then I realized that the Bidyani's probably got to be the priority target here.
Fighter airborne.
Do see some torpedo planes here, so I am going to launch my fighter. This actually serves two purposes here, because the fighter will help prevent the aircraft carrier from attacking me, but it also might spot the Bidyani, which it does here. So now I know where the Bidyani is, so that's very helpful. And unfortunately, I have to turn my bow towards these torpedoes. So we are able to dodge those, that's good. Coming back in for another run, though. Now you can see here the AA is not that great. It's okay. It's not terrific, though.
Problem solved, sir.
Now they're fairly broadside, so I'm hoping we can clip them with one of these AP shells and we get some bad dispersion, it looks like there. Also, the Bliska shooting at us there. They realize, the Bliska does, that our guns are turned the other direction. So they're doing a good job. They're opening up fire. So I'm trying to spin my guns around here. Really want to try and knock this guy out. I've switched to HE just for that purpose. Got the CV harassing us. And we are just as they go undetected. We're going to kill that Bliska. And we are just getting hammered now. The Bidyani firing a bunch of AP at us. Got the HE dive bombers of the Ranger harassing us. Now we've got just over 2 minutes left. Got a huge points lead. So if I can find a way to survive here, we are going to win. But it's not going to be easy. Big hit from the HE bombs there, sadly. Trying to get both guns around here to fire at the Bidyani. Using some HE because they have been fairly angled. Get a little bit of damage there. And I'm just trying to stay mobile. Trying to dodge as much as I can here. I just need to try and live. Now the Bidyani kind of makes a mistake here, I think, because they've continued to fire AP at us. And at the same time, we've been able to mitigate that for the most part. We've been ricocheting a lot of that. We're going to continue to fire some HE here. We're now taking rocket plane fire as well. So we're getting quite low on hit points. And at this point, I decide to switch to AP. I need to just try and kill this Bidyani. If they show broadside, oof, down to 1,800 hit points. If they show broadside, I may have a chance to kill them. Need a Citadel, though. So out of the gun, the shots just don't like that go. We get one pen into the gun, and our gun gets knocked out. I actually thought it was our rear gun, but it was our front gun, so I really didn't need to repair that. But we got 30 seconds left, and again, if they were firing HE, I think we're just dead here. But since they're firing AP, they're missing. I'm going to try one more salvo of the AP. This dispersion looks better. And the Citadel for the Kraken. So it was pretty tense at the end there, but we were able to secure the win at the very end, despite being harassed by not only that Bidyani, but the Ranger as well. The carrier was all over us, and we hung on just long enough and actually ended up getting that Kraken at the end there. So all in all, really fun game. And I'll show you the build that I have for the Graf Spee. Pretty traditional in terms of cruisers, but we'll take a look at that now. So now that you've seen in battle how awesome the Graf Spee can be, I'd like to quickly show you the build. We'll start with the modules here. Now this is a tier 6, so you don't have nearly as many options in terms of upgrades, but I choose to use steering gears, mainly because I like to be trying to turn as often as possible, and I don't do as much slowing down, speeding up in the Graf Spee as I might do in other ships. This is not particularly helpful because Damage Con 2 reduces your fire flood time, but you're usually going to damage control those anyway so that they go away. So I don't think this is a good option here. I think steering gears is probably your best bet. Aiming system, mod 1 here. This improves the dispersion of your main battery. That's your primary armament. That's where most of your damage is going to come from, so I can't recommend this enough. I don't think these other options are even worth considering. Here you have really a couple different options. I use damage control system mod 1 so that I'm not on fire and don't get floodings as often, so that I can repair things like the engine, like the steering gears, with damage control. However, if you're getting your steering gears knocked out or your propulsion, your engine knocked out a lot, feel free to switch over to one of these. Main armament modification here, I think this is pretty much a no-brainer in this one. You want to keep those guns alive, right? So that's really what this is going to do for you. Magazine mod reduces detonation chance, but you can completely eliminate that with a detonation flag. And then, of course, you have auxiliary armaments, but again, you're not going to be relying on your AA or your secondaries in this situation, so highly recommend main armament here. Consumables, you don't really have any options here other than premium and standard. I do recommend premium for all these, especially since it's a premium ship. You're going to be earning more credits anyway, so it's definitely worth the premium consumables. Here you do have the choice for defensive AA. I like to take German Hydro because the German Hydro is phenomenal. And since I already have the fighter, I feel like defensive AA is somewhat redundant. And then damage control. Premium as well. For the captain build, pretty traditional German cruiser captain build. Start out with priority target. I take this on every ship that I have. I think it's critical. I use Adrenaline Rush to increase the reload. I also use Demolition Expert because German guns with the HE, they don't have great HE alpha, so you want to try and get those fires as much as possible. That's a really good damage source for you. Could also take something like Superintendent if you wanted to. Early on, you'd take this anyway eventually, but if you wanted to take this before Demolition Expert, that's a viable option as well. And Concealment is very helpful on basically every cruiser in the game, so I always recommend taking that. Other things you might build here, you might want to build Preventive Maintenance or Expert Loader potentially. This would be also if you're building for the Tech Tree German cruisers as well. Turret Traverse might be nice, so you could take Expert Marksman. You could also use Jack of all trades to reduce the cooldown of your consumables. So you have a few options here. This is where I'd start with your first 10 points, maybe flipping Demolition Expert for Superintendent as a potential option. But other than that, that is the captain build for the Graf Spee. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're interested in seeing some live gameplay, I will leave our Twitch link in the description below. And thank you so much and have a wonderful day.